And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka SMASHO. We've seen some radio bursts, massive anomalies in Geospace. We'll be talking about how we're not doing a SMASHLIGHTS. First thing we're doing is looking at the sun in 94 angstroms. We saw some events kicking off out of sunspot 2782, which you can see in the lower left. And apparently the 94 angstroms view is the best. I may have to make more videos of this later today. Don't be surprised if you see that happen in addition to a SMASHLIGHTS segment. Let's get a little bit closer to that, as that's a great view there in 94 angstroms. Some C-class flares associated with that, as well as some coronal mass ejection anticipated to miss the Earth to the east. The radio flux is up to 88. And we saw that nearly double for about 15 minutes. We saw the radio flux make it all the way up to 170. So a big radio burst there, seeing the radio flux double. And 88, we haven't seen that since 2017 for the solar radio flux. A measurement of the outer corona. So here's that same event that we were just seeing in 94 angstroms. Here it is in 193. I noticed it was pretty evident in this wavelength as well, and it was right around 1900 hours yesterday. So 11/11, actually around 1800 hours on 11/11. So if you want to look that up yourself, is when that C-class flare happened, as well as a small coronal mass ejection. Again, not Earth-facing. We've got some more great views here of the local yellow dwarf. First, allow me to get off the screen. Here's a view of just the southern hemisphere, and I've included 304 angstroms, 171 angstroms, and the magnetogram all in the same image here. And the reason for that is because we saw another sunspot form up here. Could be named today sunspot 2783. Who knows? It's got to be there for 12 hours or more to be named. Just barely see it forming in this video. That's a one-day jump, by the way. And here's a view from the little zoomed-out view here, looking at the LASCO C2 part of the SOHO suite. And you can see that coronal mass ejection there on screen left. Don't be left behind. Watch our videos. We come out with the information before anybody else on the planet. And here's a zoom in of just the past 24 there of sunspot 2782. As it rises into a more earthly facing region. That's 193 angstroms. I'll let that play through one more time for you there. Great close-up of that. And here it is in 171 angstroms. No complaints there either. And we'll do an analysis of the fields of this by the end of the video. It's usually how we close things out. Here's sunspot 2781, which is moving into a more setting zone, still quite large, and you can see the active region around it is like 20 Earth diameters. That's like the size of Jupiter. So big active region there, a bunch of filamentary behavior. We've also got this in 171 angstroms, of course. Gotta have it. And don't forget to visit smashomash.com and the other links below our videos. Please consider supporting the channel by becoming a patron, or perhaps purchasing merch at the Teespring stores. And there's a new shirt that we just put out yesterday. It's the Deneb Shirt, featuring Deneb, aka Cygnus X3, the high mass X-ray binary. And today's SMASHLIGHTS is going to be a separate video because there's a lot of stuff to talk about today. so we're not going to do it in the daily space weather video. But just a couple points to make here. Again, visit smashamash.com. It is linked below the video. And if you head to the Smash store, today's featured shirt will appear there. It is the massive X-ray binary Deneb shirt. There you go. There's the graphic on there. And again, you can link to all of this at smashamash.com, our homepage. And we're going to be talking about pandemic stuff and masks and things like that on the SMASHLIGHTS today. And again, I won't get into it. One thing, please do follow us on Facebook. We've got some interesting updates that just came out there. Congrats to Joe Biden, our elected, projected president-elect. Soon we'll all be able to be safe due to national mask mandates and lockdowns. It's our no malarkey alleged projected president-elect. And don't forget the the alleged projected vice president-elect Kamala Harris. It'll be great having her as vice president. Perhaps she can throw some more innocent people in jail despite exculpatory evidence. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Twitter.com/smashamash. We've just put some updates, actually, on Twitter. If you haven't seen those yet, perhaps check them out. I'm not going to show them to you on the Daily Space Weather video because we want you to follow us on Twitter. Also, make sure you follow Tony Heller on YouTube. That's YouTube, as Tony Heller has been banned from YouTube again. I don't know if it's permanent. Let's hope not, as he's producing some fantastic videos. If you enjoy our content, please press like and subscribe on YouTube. Tell your friends, tell your foes, tell your science noobs and science pros. Did you watch our video yesterday featuring Eugene Bagashov, where we talked about condensed matter? Did you see our recent upload here? The Sun, no audio. It's about 21 minutes long of just high-res images of the sun, all kinds of zoom-ins on all the active regions going all the way back to July 29th. Check us out on BitChute as well. Here's a tidbit from yesterday's video with Eugene. Play a little clip here.
Please make sure you head to a synchrotron radiation shelter. A synchrotron radiation shelter.
So folks, you know, in all seriousness, if you see a Peratt instability in the sky and you're exposed to synchrotron radiation while standing on the surface of the Earth, make sure that you seek out a synchrotron radiation shelter. All right, enough of that. Again, we are on BitChute as well, bitchute.com/smashamash. We're not going to talk about that. Let me just leave that on the screen for a quick second. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. That'll be in the SMASHLIGHTS video. And let me get back to space. By the way, we are streaming live to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/smashamash. I would also encourage our viewers to branch out into alt tech. If you have Facebook, Twitter, and so on, maybe set up a Minds account, minds.com/smashamash. Please sign up over there, as we need tokens. Send us your tokens and we will boost our posts. Also, Gab. By the way, President Donald J. Trump has a confirmed account on Gab, and he's not Twitter censored there by technocratic oligarchic fascists. Technocratic oligarchic fascists. Welcome to the plutocratic technocracy, folks. It's a plutocratic corporatocracy. And it's going on and on and on. Also, don't forget to check out Locals. smashamash.locals.com. It's Dave Rubin's new site where you can control your own social media and so on. You can decide who's banned and who's able to post stuff. And again, we are streaming live. It's twitch.tv/smashamash. We regularly put up daily space weather videos on Twitch because the platform is so good. Also, again, don't forget to visit our links at smashamash.com. You can find all our social media links underneath that arrow in the upper right, as well as links to the forum and both of our Teespring stores. The merch is lovely, by the way. We own quite a few shirts. thanks to everybody who's bought merch. We greatly appreciate that. And tell your friends and foes. Don't forget to wear it out in public and start a conversation, as they are nonpartisan products. Another thing we'll be talking about in the SMASHLIGHTS today is the Marines, an asymptomatic transfer of the scary, scary, spooky COVID. Look for it later after the Daily Space Weather videos today on the SMASHLIGHTS. Let's get back to space here. We're going to talk cosmology for a brief moment, as it's one of the more interesting areas of study. Today we're going to look at a random object between the numbers of 1 and 1031 at the Neil Gorell Swift Bat X-ray Observatory. Today's quantum random number is 688. So let's just scroll down the list here and take a quick gander at 688. There it is. It's Granat J1741.9-2853, a low-mass X-ray binary. Here are the X-ray transients from it. Here it is on Simbad. We'll see if we can get an image for you real quick. Again, we are streaming live to Twitch, so we don't want to monkey around too long. And there it is on the XMM Newton. Let's look at it at Aladdin Light also. The low-mass X-ray binary. Let's see if we can see it in some sort of visible. That's still X-ray, I apologize. Here's an optical band, and it's not showing up there. How about in red optical? Nope. Anyway, it's from an area with quite a lot of X-ray flux. And it's pretty close to the galactic core, it looks like. There it is on Glimpse. Low-mass X-ray binary Granat J1741.9-2853. And you can look up your favorite transients at the Neil Gorell Swift Bat X-ray Observatory. Let's check out the X-ray transients from the galactic core of the Milky Way, the Sagittarius A star. There are the X-ray transients from it. Don't take our word for it. Go look up the data yourself. Something we do regularly here at smashamash.com. And there ends today's cosmology segment. We kept it short because we've got more content to make today. So since this is a daily space weather video, let's get back to the current data. Now we see some extreme anomalies in geospace going on. We see this, the phi angle has suddenly started to shift all over the place. Also the BTBZ has shifted. And we see a downtick in solar wind density and a slow rise in solar wind speed, off of its highs of 400 kilometers a second, now at only 390 kilometers a second or so. Current solar wind density very low at 1.5 protons per cubic centimeter. KP index is at 2. And check out these anomalies in the geospace. We see very low levels of electron flux, and I have not seen any sort of shapes like this shown by the Space Weather Modeling Framework. We've got a bunch of missing data here now also, as this is only showing us a few minutes. This is only from 8:13 Universal Time to 8:29 Universal Time. And the pressure, extremely low, and this is showing me less data than when I did show prep. So some weird anomalies showing up there in the Geospace magnetosphere movies. Check out that density. Never saw anything like that before. And we've been covering this for about 2+ years here. Next, looking at ground geospace magnetic perturbations to see a bunch of lost data there. We normally see 4 hours of data from this. Today it's only showing like 15 minutes. Next, we'll have a look at the GOES X-ray flux to show you those C-class flares that we showed. And by the way, the coronal mass ejection that we showed earlier and that interesting activity there associated with sunspot 2782 was at that moment, that was about 1800 hours universal time. If you're up before dawn, you may see the moon and Venus and Mercury all in Virgo, and the fact that they're in Virgo probably means something to somebody. I don't know what it means. Please leave us a comment if you're an astrologer and do my chart. Here's what's going on in the solar system. There's where things will be in a week, as Mercury beats Venus in yet another race around the sun. Here's the GOES magnetometer data for the last 3 days. We're seeing a pretty steep graph here as the GOES 16 approaches noontime, which is what these N's mean. And the M's, they mean midnight time for the satellite. Thanks to all of our new viewers who are learning this for the first time. Cheers! There's a lot more to do on the channel, so stay tuned for more content. Now, yesterday we talked to Eugene, and he showed us that the coronal hole field plot, something that we rarely look at. Maybe we'll pick it up as a regular thing. Leave us a comment if you appreciate that. The top view ecliptic plane field plot is, in my opinion, one of the premier ways to forecast solar activity. Sorry, can't tell you how I do it, but this is one of the things I use. And yeah, it's pretty useful stuff here, folks. And that's why we show it to you daily on the daily space weather videos. We've got over 400 of them. So don't forget to check out the playlists, youtube.com/smashamash/playlists. And we're solidly in the North Pole current sheet right now. No expectations for that to change anytime soon, barring some unforeseen event. And here's the data that Eugene was showing yesterday in our video about condensed matter. Our The Diamond Anvil, Too Hard to Smash, featuring Eugene, the philosopher Bagashov. And that shows you the B field in blue and the coronal holes in red for South Pole and green and North Pole polarity. I like this one a little better, but I think we're going to start showing both because the coronal holes are interesting. And as we progress through the cycle, we'll be keeping an eye on them. And when I say ion, well, the pun is intentional. This line of sight field plot also shows the B field, but it shows also the Z fields, the solar polar fields in green and red. No big changes happening there, although we do see some more yanking down toward that sunspot. And that sunspot's looking like it might be pretty powerful now, so keep an eye on that. And there is some possibility for M-class flares as it moves into a more Earth-facing zone. Last but not least, we're going to look at the coronal magnetic field plot. And it's pretty jumbled up here. We see a lot of closed potential field force lines in the Earth-facing zone shown there in pink. Coronal hole potential field force lines in purple. And open potential field surface source, PFSS. It stands for potential field surface source lines shown in black. Next thing we've got is some information about the electron content of the Earth's Van Allen belts. We don't really see any charging hazards right now. That's a good thing. We've seen the electrons fall off a cliff. Here's the 1-year chart of it. We're in a more of a moderate range here. And NOAA is forecasting a further drop. I would concur. We're seeing a pretty weak coronal hole wind stream here. I think this is going to last less than 24 hours. And we might not even see it. We may have already seen the high at around 400 kilometers per second for the proton, for the solar wind speed, rather. There's a 3-day electron flux, and you can see as this is falling off a cliff, probably has something to do with those geospace anomalies, but it's only showing us a little bit of the data. In any case, here is a visualization of the electron flux. It's the total air column. Just give me one moment to check the life of the stream in the chat. And we see continued anomalies here over North America, as well as the North Atlantic. And we expect to see the highest electron content levels over the equator, and we're not really seeing that right now. We're seeing a bunch of significant anomalies here over the northern portion of the planet. And it sure is taking its time to play here. I don't know what's going on with that. It looks like it's broken. Let's move on. What the heck was that all about? Next, looking at just the ionosphere, as the last pane was the entire air column up to the thermosphere. Ionosphere looking a little anomalous here as it's charging up very far south toward Antarctica. Otherwise, pretty normal. Latest image is from 11:15 Universal Time. Thanks to our patrons, the true source of funding for the content. please consider becoming a patron. Let us know what you thought of our interesting ringtone dumps we did yesterday. And you can get some benefits from not even paying us any money and opening up your moldy, cobweb-encrusted wallet and paying us a couple bucks per month to create the content. Patreon.com/smashamash. Thanks very much to our patrons, the true source of funding for the videos. Largest earthquake of the past 24 was this 5.3 magnitude near the Philippines. In the Philippine Sea. Here's a location of that. I'm going to zoom out. There's a location of that 5.3 magnitude quake. Basically, it's an earthquake drought. Continuing on here. And we're just going to scroll up the list. Deep quake in Indonesia at 4.7 magnitude and 143 kilometers depth. A deep quake at Papua New Guinea, 122 kilometers depth, of 4.8 magnitude. And lastly, while we did show PREPA 4.4 showing up at Peru at 119 kilometers, let's do volcanoes at volcanodiscovery.com. What's erupting, you ask? Suwanosejima is erupting. It's producing a 3,000-foot ash plume. Semeru, 13,000-foot ash plume there, down in Indonesia. Tukono has produced a 7,000-foot ash plume. And there's a 2-kilometer exclusion zone around the main crater. Please don't build a campsite on the lower slopes of Tukono. White Island has erupted again. 6,000-foot ash plume coming out of the White Island volcano north of New Zealand. Fuego exploding, 15,000-foot ash plume there. Sangay exploding, 21,000-foot ash plume there. Sporadic emissions around Ravenador are an indication not to fly your ultralight John Denver-style aircraft over that. And Sabancaya is exploding. It's producing a 24,000-foot ash plume. Please don't pole vault the caldera. Here are the jet streams on nullschool.net of the Eastern world. Here are the jet streams of the Western world. Here's me vanishing off the screen. It looks like it's going to be a cold day in Bermuda. Have you been to the Sargasso Sea? Leave us a comment. Have you swum with eels in a giant kelp bed known as the Sargasso Sea? What a weird place. Next, we're looking at pressure cells here on windy.com. A typical feature of the daily space weather. And we're just going to advance this into tomorrow around noon. There's where we expect pressure cells to be at noon. Check out that powerful low pressure system over Iceland. Next, looking at lightningmaps.org. I like to use it when I hear thunder. Lightningmaps.org. Convince your foes that you're Thor or Odin and that you're causing thunder and not just forecasting it. Hey, Charlotte, there's thunder rolling in. And if you're wondering, that really is the expected sound wave propagation of the thunderclap. Yes, you can forecast thunder and scare the natives at lightningmaps.org. Here's the GOES 16 lightning mapper. Still seeing some Caribbean lightning here for weeks and weeks. And let's move on to some more meteorology stuff. A typical thing we do at the Smash News Network. And now we are at Weather Underground. It's Weather Underground's Doppler radar map. There you go. Still see some snow falling in the northern plains, and a bunch of rain taking its time getting out of Pennsylvania, making my day dreary and a bit gross and soggy. And now we've got some forms to resubmit. Let's do it. I don't want to show you the resubmission, though. That's no fun. And there's what's going on in the cloud layer. If you want to know what's going on in the cloud layer when it's not even light out, just head to the NASA GOES interactive weather satellites, use the band 7 3.9 nanometer shortwave infrared, and you'll get gems like this. And that powerful low pressure is right over Tampa Bay right now. I can see it clearly, even though the rain is not gone. Next, we're going to look at the water vapor map. And we're going to zoom in on Florida and on Pennsylvania. Here's the zoomed out view. And again, we are streaming live to Twitch, so please bear with us. And it looks like we might get some turbulent weather here in Pennsylvania as there's a big mixture happening. A bunch of dry air stabbing its way into Pennsylvania, stabbing its way in. Here's what's going on in the water vapor map over the Florida region. And that dry mass of air is slowly escorting that massive area of moisture out to sea. And we're going to zoom in on the tri-state region to give our local viewers, shout out to our local viewers, some idea of what's going on, as this is sometimes a lot more insightful than a simple Doppler radar map, which is a ground-based system which measures movement in the air column, as opposed to a satellite looking at all of the water vapor, whether or not it's condensed onto a cloud. So it's going to be hanging around for quite a while here in the tri-state region. And by the way, thanks for flying American Smashways. Please keep your head and arms inside the smash plane at all times. We're going to show you one more SDO video. It's going to be the 48-hour 335 angstroms view. We're going to show you the colorized magnetogram, and we're going to show you the intensitygram to show you possible sunspot 2783. Who would have guessed? Anyway, that possible new sunspot is right here. The polarity is actually vertical there. The two different fields are north and south of each other instead of east and west. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Here is the situation in colorized magnetogram sunspot 2781. It's further degraded, but it's held pretty steady. And there's possible sunspot 2783. Could be turning into a beta class sunspot. And again, those fields are in an odd position, north and south of each other. And last but not least, I'm sorry, that's 2783. There we go. And here's 2782, which looks like it has degraded. All right, so here's the intensitygram. There's sunspot 2781. The trailing umbrae are almost all gone, barely visible. Here's possible sunspot 2783, and that's a beta class sunspot as we make the video. And there's sunspot 2782. Still significant umbrae there. And again, the trailing, this is the largest one, the trailing North Pole umbra there is where most of the activity is going to be oriented. And here's the 335 angstroms view. It's 48 hours worth of solar activity from the SDO. Interesting plasma filament there in the upper right. I'm not sure if Gina Maria Colvin-Hill has identified this as a solar chicken, a solar squid, a spaceship, a cloud that's turned into a spaceship, or a spaceship that's turned into a cloud. But in any case, thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink it. If you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, and may that solar wind be at your back.